Hi, welcome to Ford and Ethan's Math Problems. We're going to sit down and talk you through a good one today because we are uber excited about math. So anyway, we're just going to let me talk because we don't want it to sound back and forth between two people like a bunch of amateurs. So we're just going to I'm just going to go through this. There's a lightsaber. And you guys will be enlightened by our skill in the math process. Thank you. The principal of a local high school would like to conduct a survey to estimate the number of students enrolled in a chemistry class per grade. The principal plans on taking a survey of 40 out of the 700 students in the school. Which type of sampling method would be most effective in eliminating bias? Define. Define a confounding variable in this survey and explain how the confounding variable could be a problem. If 0 junior students in the sample are enrolled in a chemistry class, is it safe to assume that 0 students in the junior class are enrolled? Explain your reasoning and explain how the survey could be adjusted to more accurately portray the class. Answers coming at you quick. So in answering question 1, remember it asks, which type of sampling method would be most effective in eliminating bias? That's not the correct tool, but right there. Down here is where we wrote our answer. Question 1, student gets an E if the most sampling method would be a stratified random sample if the student defines that, remember, with the strata being divided based upon grade level. So you get a general feel, because remember the principal is trying to figure out, estimate the number of students enrolled in a chemistry class per grade. Or the student specifies another type of random sample and is able to give adequate evidence of how it eliminates bias and confounding variables. Student gets a P if they suggest a stratified random sample but do not specify the strata. Remember, if they don't back it up, then any other type we're not going to accept. And the student gets an I if they suggest a wrong type of random sample or an alternate random sample and do not give any evidence as to why or the evidence is wrong. And so we will delve into the next slide. Remember, we're wondering about part B, defining a confounding variable of the survey and explain how the confounding variable could be a problem. The student could identify any kind of confounding variable. Maybe there's not enough people. This principal selecting people that just wouldn't take chemistry. The principal, there's so many of them, but he has to explain the confounding variable and explain how it confounds the data. Variable, he doesn't choose enough people in the experiment. It confounds it because it does not give an adequate representation for the entire grade. Student gets a P if the student defines a confounding variable of the survey but fails to explain its role in confounding the data. So if I chose one and then just didn't explain it. The student gets an I if the student somehow does not define a confounding variable. I say somehow because really, this is a gimme question, and if they don't at least get a P, that's a little upsetting on my part. But you know what? Yeah, you gotta start somewhere. That made no sense. And part C, if 0 junior students in the sample are enrolled in a chemistry class, it is safe to assume that 0 students in the junior class are enrolled. Explain your reasoning and explain how the survey could be adjusted to more accurately portray the class. Basically, the sample size is far too small. We have learned that the larger the sample size, the better it portrays the population as a whole, and 40 out of the entire school out of the 700, which means there's about 10 per grade. It's just far too small to be able to make really fair assumptions on the entire grade. So that is why it may not accurately portray, which is part 1 of an E, and part 2 is give an adjustment. Definitely just increase the sample size. You just want to be able to see more about the grade. So that's it. You get an E if you do both of those things. You get a P if you do one of those things without giving the other. And you get an I if you just don't read the question and you have never taken statistics before. I don't know. I just feel like I'm all about
because you know I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, bass. Yeah, it's pretty clear.